Comes to the main event. So the main event is Alexander Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. And this I think this is also an interesting fight. So in my opinion, Volkanovski is one of the pound for pound best in the UFC. You can't deny, like, I get that there's arguments over whether, how the judges scored the fights with Max Holloway. But regardless, he's got the W on the record book. That's what ultimately is going to matter. And then he had a very dominant win over Brian Ortega outside of like the one round where he almost got submitted. But going into this fight, this fight was supposed to be Max Holloway 3. He fell out for an injury, and then they delayed the fight. So the Korean Zombie ends up fighting for the belt. He's coming off of a win over Dan Ige. But it's interesting because people want to talk like this MMA math thing. They want to say, like, the Korean Zombie fought Brian Ortega and he just got pieced up on the feet. And that's true. That definitely did happen. But also, like, he looked really good in the next fight after that. And that's not always how MMA math works. Just because one guy dominated you in one aspect doesn't mean it's going to play out the same way versus the next guy. Just because Ortega was that much better in this fight doesn't mean that Volkanovski is going to be. But I mean, ultimately, I'd say I'm leaning towards Volkanovski being the winner of this fight. The Korean Zombie's still a very talented fighter, though. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game, and he's good stand-up as well. And then he's very hard to put out of there. And Volkanovski's actually struggled to kind of knock people out as of late. So we'll really see. We'll see how this fight plays out. Could Korean Zombie shock the whole world, or is Volkanovski just going to get the next gem in his belt, basically? Like, is he going to go further? And there's been talk of, like, who's the featherweight GOAT. I think Volk is even willing to say that it's Aldo right now, but if he keeps stringing together wins and title defenses, then he very well might make the argument himself.